see. Peace, man. I'll be right with you. Hey, VC. I am a-coming. I am a-coming. Oh, hello, y'all. Welcome to the cosmic realm, where everybody is happy. It's joyous here in the realm. It's glorious in the realm. I dig the realm. And so could you. Come on in. Make yourself comfortable. Grab a beanbag chair. There's a purple one, a pink one, a green one, a yellow one. Take your pick. Anyway, I decided to throw down on another Vinyl Finds video because in the next couple of days I'm going to be indisposed. I have to go to the hospital and get a procedure done, as does sometimes men do at my age, the old colonoscopy. Yeah, they're going to snake my rear end with a camera hooked to a hose. I'm not scared to share it here. We're all friends, all right? Hey, this is Brian. This is Cosmic Vinyl. We're transparent when we're not colorful, right? Yeah, it's a long story. But anyway, yeah, let's just get right into it, because I got some cool records to show. And I'll tell you what we're hearing there in a second. First of all, beep, 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 ka-ching. It's so colorful in here. It's like a unicorn puked. Just kidding. Anyway, let's put those glasses over here. This is Vinyl Finds number 23. God, it just seems like there should be more than that. What we're listening to is, this is such a groovy cover. This is a group called the Laughing Soap Dish. You guys see that? I mean, there's a lot going on there. I mean, that's a trippy cover right there. I'll hold it there so you guys can get a good look at it, because it's a beaut. Laughing Soap Dish. It's called We Are the Dish. Get a good look at it. And I was wondering where they came up with the name, and then I realized if you break down the Laughing Soap Dish into just the first letter of each word, it's LSD, so there you go. They are definitely a psych band. They're from oh lordy, they're an 80s like Neo-Psych band from New Jersey, I believe. So yeah, who knew that the Jersey Shore had a psych scene back in the 80s, right? They were a band from like 81 to 91. This record, though, came out in, I believe, 1987. And they definitely must have been listening to like some Pink Floyd, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, because I hear a lot of that sort of, sound, and a lot, even the vocals even are a little Sid-ish. So yeah, it's poppy, it's dreamy, it's heavy bass, it's fuzzy guitar, although the guitar sound is a bit thin on this record. I wish that they would have just put a little more emphasis on that fuzzy guitar, because the guitar player, her name is Elizabeth Sandos, and she can rip it up. She plays a great psych fuzz guitar. They just put more emphasis on the bass and the vocals. So, and definitely the vocals are like a spot on for like a 60s, 70s, like almost like a psych or British psych type stuff, like a British influence psych. Yeah, he's definitely got that going on. His name is Wayne Larson, but yeah, I love it. I got it on the cheap on eBay, and I think they have another 1 or 2 records, so, you know, if I can get a good deal on them, I'll pick them up for sure. Now, this cover art, as cool as it is, and as extreme as it is, it's just a little bit over the top as far as the music within. I mean, sure, the music within is psyche, but it's more poppy psych than it is this, what this appears to be, just acid drenched, dripping with, you know, psilocybin. You know, it's not like that at all. Yeah, but the artwork is cool. It's done by a guy named R.K. Sloan, and yeah, I dig it, man. This is like something you'd want to frame and hang up in the room. You know what I'm saying? But it's a decent effort for, you know, an 80s Neo-Psych record, but unfortunately this band just couldn't hold it together, man. They had a lot of internal tensions, and they couldn't hold a solid lineup. So, you know, when you got that kind of turmoil in a band, you're not going to be able to get any kind of momentum that they needed. And I suppose back in the 80s, you know, during when you're trying to promote, you know, a psych / garage type scene, you know, you gotta really give it all and be able to hit it every time. So, but you know, they have a crazy history. You know, they used to, when they first started, they did covers of bands like the Velvet Underground and Red Crayola, Pink Floyd, 13th Floor Elevators, the Kinks, that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're definitely, you know, their influences are definitely there. So yeah, the hits from this that I really dig are the opening track called Acid Land, and then there's that's the opening track on side 1, and then the 4th song is called The Flowering, and then there's one called You're So Plastic. Black River's another goodie, and it's just it's a good one. It's on Bomp Records, and yeah, I dig it, man. It's cool. Let's see, what do we got next here? I believe I showed a record by this group in my last Vinyl Finds video. This is another. This is like, I think this is more of a compilation by Perry Ubu, and this is punk rock here. Punk rock, experimental rock, art punk, whatever name you want to slap on it. This is called Terminal Tower, an archival collection. I wonder if Mazzy's archivist Amanda has ever went through this archival collection by Perry Ubu. Down now. But you have to check out those videos by Mazzy. He had some great special guests over the last couple, 2 or 3 videos. So yeah, you have to check that out. And I'm just going to give you one quick glimpse of the record box that Mazzy gave me for the concert for Bangladesh, the George Harrison concert. This is frigging amazing. I love it. And this is probably the best condition I've ever seen this in. So yeah, still very thankful for that, Mazzy. Anyway, some of the stuff on here that's this compilation is on something that I showed not too long ago. This EP right here, this Data Panic at Year Zero, which is also a very cool output by Perry Ubu. And yeah, so anyway, this has some very unique vocals by David Thomas. Yeah, not the David Thomas that is Wendy's founder, but David Thomas. He almost, it's almost like a spoken rather than sang. Kind of like if you've ever listened to Can, that Monster, oh God, their first album, Monster or something, I can't think of it right offhand, but it's a lot like that vocals. But yeah, it's I don't know, I love this. This has got, it's killer bass, killer guitar, just screams on some songs. It's like, there's a song on here called Final Solution, and the guitar just is a screamer. The solo is just absolutely killer. Yeah, that's definitely a banger on this album. And then there's the whole thing from opening 30 Seconds Over Toko, Japan. No, it's Tokyo, damn it. Anyway, yeah, the vocals are just inspired on some of these songs too. I don't know how he does it. It still clicks, even though it's not like really singing. I don't know how to describe it, but side one on this is like kind of dark, and it's not dark to where it's like brooding, but it's dark and experimental dark, and it's just very cool. Rolling Stone actually voted this number 23 of their top punk records of all time, so it's got that going for it. There's a song on here called Cloud 149. It's still crazy experimental with guitar that sounds almost like strings, like a violin almost. It's very cool. That one, and another song called Untitled, also called The Modern Dance, is kind of almost like more pop leanings to it, but not commercial, you know. It's not like you'd never hear it like on the radio or whatever. Then side two is a bit less dark. The songs are more upbeat. There's actually a song on here called which one is it? Back on the Table, and it's got a female voice practicing a French lesson, which I know that just sounds insane all on its own, but it's surrounded by some crazy experimental, like someone playing like a cello or a deep string instrument. It's just so crazy, but it's just enough to keep you in there, keep you grounded. God, this is so cool. I'm definitely into Periubu right now, so I don't know. In the 80s, I don't remember hearing about any of these bands. I must have been like totally sheltered in the 80s, because all I was listening to is like Boston. You know, I was exposed to a lot of Boston and Journey, Van Halen, and I mean, where was all this stuff that I could have been listening to? That why wasn't it available to me back then, that I could have been just really getting into it? Now I feel like I'm playing catch up to all this great music that's out there. I guess, you know, better late than never, because I'm having a great time discovering all this great tunage and just, just going with it, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, okay, this next album has been one that I've been looking for a while. It's probably my favorite David Bowie record of all time. And there's a story. I have a connection with this record that's a bizarre story that I will share. But I've been looking for an OG copy, but I know they're a little spendy. and I haven't seen any out in the wild, and finally I wanted to hear it so bad on a turntable that I broke down and I did buy the reissue of this David Bowie Low. This is so great. I love this record. It's just, there's something that just taps into me that I just dig it so much. It's 11th studio album. It was released in 1977, and I'm sorry, I know that it's probably getting all kinds of crazy glare, but it's in the shrink, and I didn't really want to pull it out of the shrink, so it is what it is. It's not a gatefold, so anyway, this was released following Bowie's move to West Berlin. He went through a horrible period of, I believe he was a drug addiction. It was cocaine, and also he was in his personal life was pretty unstable. So he moved to West Berlin. This is one of his first of 3 collaborations with Brian Eno, obviously of Roxy Music, and you know Brian Eno from Here Come the Warm Jets, and Brian Eno of the ambient guy, that Brian Eno. So yeah, he that trilogy. So it's called the West Berlin Trilogy, or the Berlin Trilogy, which included David Bowie's Low, also included Lodger and Heroes. So yeah, I'll pick those other 2 up too, because those are some great records as well. I also want to get Station to Station. I just really like that one too. But anyway, all the trilogy were part of a more electronic up in their approach. So like I said, this album has kind of a nostalgic place with me in it, and I have a story to tell. I was probably here. Give me just a second here. I'm gonna turn that. I gotta turn that down for just a second. God damn, so goddamn loud. What the? You guys haven't heard me freak out like that for a while. It's all part of the show. You know how it goes. Anyway, yeah, like I said, this album holds kind of a nostalgic story for me, and I'm going to try and whip through it as fast as I can, but I think you'll find this pretty amusing. I was it's kind of an odd story. I was a preteen. I was probably 12 or 13 years old when I had this album. And I had some sort of infection. I believe it was like in my like a mouth or infected tooth, or some sort of bad mouth or tooth infection. I just remember that I was miserable. Right, all I wanted to do was just lock myself away and just sleep or whatever. But I was on antibiotics, and I also I think I had maybe a procedure done on my mouth too. Maybe I had like some teeth pulled or something like that. It might even have been like like infected wisdom tooth or something. I don't remember, but the doctor or the dentist gave me like some sort of powerful painkillers. I mean, for a 12 and 13-year-old, friggin' any painkiller would have been probably enough to knock me clean. So you see, I do have a little history with opiates. So, but anyway, it was probably like Darvon, or maybe some kind, I don't know, maybe like a codeine or based pill or something. But anyway, I remember that I had this album on 8-track, and then of course my first stereo that I had when I was still living at home with my folks was that it had all the components in one. It had a turntable, a cassette. It also had an 8-track player, and then an AM/FM, you know, like stereo in it too. So, and I remember just, you know, pulling the drapes, shutting the door, popping that. I had the 8-track of this, don't know why. I found it in a bargain bin. It looked cool. I popped it into the 8-track. You know, remember if the old 8-tracks, it would loop forever. It would just pop. If you left it in and left it on, it would just go from channel. There was like 4 channels, and it would just play in one channel into the next, and it would just keep playing. It wouldn't stop unless you stopped it. So, so anyway, I popped it into the 8-track, pulled the shades, shut the door, turned the lights out, took a few of those pain pills, laid down in bed, and I remember going into this like fever dream or whatever. I just remember that I was in kind of awake but not awake, like semi-conscious during some of it. Some of it I was asleep and in this deep state of like I said, like a fever dream. And I remember that Bowie was in the dream, and he was wearing this, for some reason I thought this looked like a monk garb, like a cloak that a monk would wear. Like, I don't know what they call it. It's not a habit, or I don't know. They're just like a monk robe. And I remember having Bowie had it over his, over his head, and I could see him. But he was taking me on this journey, and it was kind of like Dune almost. I mean, sometimes I was in a desert, sometimes I was in a in space, and sometimes he would like just leave me alone, and there would be all these like different creatures and just all these worlds. And I mean, this went on for, I bet I slept for a good 8 to 10 hours. I'm knocked out on these pain pills and in the dark, and waking up occasionally to hear the channel snap over to the next channel for going through songs like Warszawa, an Art Decade, Weeping Wall. I mean, all these crazy ambient songs on side 2, and I just remember that it was just insane, and I will always remember that. And I've always wanted to get this record. I remember I had it on CD at one time, and I lost it somewhere along the line. But now that I've been back into the vinyl, I wanted this so bad because it just reminded me of that crazy, insane fever dream I had. Me and Bowie on a journey through time and space and desert. Who knows what the hell? But anyway, I was kind of like the state Bowie was probably feeling it when him and Iggy moved to Berlin. I mean, he was in a drug-addicted state, nearly broke. Was following his Thin White Duke period, and he and Iggy moved into an apartment in Berlin to get him clean, and regain his sanity and get his life back. So while he's there, he really got into the music over there, the German music that we, commonly refer to as krautrock. But he was listening to Kraftwerk and Tangerine Dream and New, and he even lived with some of the guys in Tangerine Dream. So yeah, he was also into Brian Eno's minimalist album called, I believe it was called Discreet Music. And of course, that was the beginning of the collaboration that went into the Berlin Trilogy. So, and then Iggy's on this record. And then Bowie, in turn, around the same time recording this, Bowie was helping produce and performing and co-writing on Iggy's album The Idiot. So yeah, they must have been like tight, so anyway, side 1 is killer. Side 1's the very electronic. It opens up with a rousing instrumental called The Speed of Life. I just love the experimental nature of side 1. Bowie really seems focused. The lyrics and the playing that he does. And then side 2 is where you kind of see the Brian Eno influence stuff, the ambient stuff. In fact, side 2 barely has any vocals on it at all. It's all instrumental and very dreamy and very dark, and it really it can take you places, man. Turn off the lights, pull the shades, take something, and it will take you somewhere for sure. I get it too. You come out of an addiction, and your mind is like still clinging to that kind of that addictive state. It's looking for something, and it's. But then on the other hand, it's firing electrons and neurons and looking for some new stimulation, and that's what happened with Bowie. I mean, his creative juices were really flowing on this, and he was trying something new, and it was kind of met with mixed reactions, but all I know is that I have a special place for this, and I love it. So, yeah, I highly recommend this. I mean, I'm sure most of y'all know about David Bowie Low. So, anyway, that's that. I know I spent a lot of time on that, and I'm going to move on. Hold on just a second here. All right. The next on the docket here, and I love this record, man. I'm so glad I stumbled. Ended up getting this really super cheap. This is Neil Merriweather. I actually, I always see Kryptonite shown a lot on the VC, and up until recently, I don't know that I'd ever seen this shown, but this is Neil Merriweather's Space Rangers. I actually seen Psychedelic Sean over at Psychedelic Snow showed this just in a recent video too. Hey, if you haven't checked out his channel, Psychedelic Snow, my God, there is all killer and no filler. That guy shows I just anticipate every record that he shows is going to be some very cool psych, or at least some cool anything from 60s and 70s prog psych, funk, soul. I mean, there's no, like I said, there's no pussies in that. It's just all killer. So yeah, tune into Psychedelic Snow. He's doing some great things over there. So and Dan's vinyl channel, Dan's back up and running again too. He took a little break. So yeah, check out those guys for sure. Anyway, this is a Canadian-born rocker, Neil Merriweather. He was a singer, a bass player, and a songwriter. He's recorded with such a wide variety of musicians and artists, including Steve Miller, Dave Mason, Lita Ford, Billy Joel, and Rick James, bitch. I mean, he's recorded with everybody. This guy has quite a history with of recording and working with tons of different musicians. You could seriously play 6 degrees of Neil Merriweather fairly easily. He's had his hand. He's probably famous for being the least, the only guy that's not famous. He's famous for not being famous. I mean, he should have been up there with some of the great names. He should be a household name. He was actually once asked to play with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. It could have been Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young, and Merriweather. Imagine trying to fit that all on the front cover. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this record was released in 1974 under the Space Rangers moniker. No support from the label with the band for the band or the record. So, he was pretty smart. He put the advance money that he got, as small as it was, and he turned around after recording this album and right away recorded the songs he had ready for Kryptonite. So that album could be released as well, since he's kind of doing it on his own, really. What was the label? I think it was Mercury. Pretty sure it was Mercury label. Yes, it was the Mercury label. Anyway, I love this. This has opens up with a track called Hollywood Boulevard. It's just a great opener inspired by David Bowie. It's very Bowie-esque for sure. It's probably one of my favorite songs on this record. It opens up with like lots of like city street noises, and then it's just a killer wah-wah guitar, and it's just spacey rock jam, and it just kills. Look at this cover. It's like an old sci-fi B movie, like a Roger Corman type flick. It's amazing. I love this cover. Anyway, it's so cool. It's just they do a cover of the Byrds' 8 Miles High on this, and it is I'll probably get stoned for this, and not in a good way, but I dare say that I like it better than even the Byrds version. It's so cool. It's very spaced out, and just a really great cover, great bass. It's a rocked up version of the song for sure, and I just could not I couldn't get it out of my head even at work the other day. It was great. Then there's the King of Mars and / Neon Man. It's kind of an epic, slow build-up, melodic, great synth on it. And then he does a Donovan cover, Sunshine Superman, almost completely unrecognizable as that song. It's super funky. It's like a space funk. It's out there, but it's it makes sense. I mean, the guy played with Rick James, bitch. I mean, come on. So, I mean, he's got that funk influence in there. He was in funk bands. Neil was in funk bands. So, anyway, this whole record is killer. I love it. Like I said, I got it on the cheap. I passed up Kryptonite, and now I have to have Kryptonite. I'll have to go out and find it for sure. And this guy's been on a lot of different records, so there's plenty of stuff to find with him on it. So. And now I got my final record, and I won't spend near as long on this one because I know this is getting long, as I always do. And this is probably my more recent. This is and I will take this one out because this is an absolute beautiful record. I don't know if you can tell, but it's purple with kind of like a pink metallic. This is Gish by the Smashing Pumpkins. And look at that. It's just a beautiful, this is just like a little insert. It's got, if you had pictures taken in one of those photo booth things. But there's that. That's just an insert, which is basically the same as the, inner sleeves. I just love the purple. I just dig it. Except for the little star on Billy Corgan's hat. And here's the inside. It's got a great picture of the band. Bruce Break! Sorry, Eric. A little tribute to Eric and his friend Dustin. But yeah, check that out. Great picture of the band right there. And then some lyrics there. I got a great, I can't believe I got this under $20. You cannot find Smashing Pumpkins stuff for under $20. And this is like somebody played it once and said fucking threw it away. So, yeah, I love this. This is the studio debut by American rock band, alt-rock band, Smashing Pumpkins. I don't need to tell you about the Smashing Pumpkins, although, it was released in May of '91, and I'm thinking to myself, what if, Billy Corgan was so talented, what if he would have became, instead of Kurt Cobain, what if Billy Corgan would have became the voice of a generation? And what if he'd have carried on what Kurt Cobain started? what if he had beat him to the punch? And I don't know. I feel like these guys, especially Billy Corgan, because I'll explain. But I just feel like these guys, so much talent, so much great sound, great musicianship. I feel like they don't get. I mean, now they're very respected, and everybody wants their stuff. But I just feel like they could have been more, even though they were, they were a hit machine in the '90s too. So, anyway, everything on this record was written by Billy Corgan. He's the singer and guitar player. He co-produced it with Butch Vig, who also produced the Nevermind album for Nirvana. So, but they had a budget of $20,000, which is, and basically all the time in the world to put this to produce this record, which is unheard of for an indie label to give their band that kind of wiggle room. So yeah, they took their time, and they, I tell you what, I drove themselves, almost broke the band up, because Billy was such a perfectionist. He ended up overdubbing all his playing over his bandmates' stuff. I mean, he basically, they were like, I've heard of Smashing Pumpkins referred to as the alt rock monkeys. Like the Monkees didn't really write or play their tunes at first. They played it, but they had nothing to do with the writing of the songs or anything. It's kind of like this. Billy Corgan wrote all the songs and played everything on the record. So weird, but yeah. So they've broken up. They've gotten back together. They've went through different lineups. It's always been Billy and Jimmy. Jimmy Chamberlain, the drummer, who also had a horrible heroin addiction. So that slowed some of the record, the production of this record, or the recording of it. So, but I love this. As soon as I got a hold of, what was the other, not Cherub Rock, but the other album that came out after this one, I can't remember. Anyway, that was their big breaking one, but I went back, and this is just as good of an album, if not better. Songs on this that are amazing are Rhinoceros, Crush, Daydream is amazing. The whole thing is just a great record. I highly recommend this. Anyway, that's my Vinyl Finds video, and I know it's long. I'm going to take one drink and cheer you guys out of here. Make sure to flush up those bean bags when you're done there. And now you guys got to go, though. I love you guys. This is Brian. And we are in the Cosmic Realm. This is Cosmic Vinyl. And you guys have a great night tonight. You guys have a great day tomorrow. And I'll see you next time. Peace out, you guys. Love you. Enjoy life, man. Grasp it.